From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
Brand new day here on the program. Glad to have you on board. Fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom every single day, putting America first. It's what we do. We can have shoulder to shoulder with you when it matters most. Who's in your foxhole? Let's get rolling. A lot to cover as always. Here are three big things you need to know. Number one, the 4-day partial shutdown of the government over. And once again, Democrats got nothing out of it. Just another performative political stunt with no actual value. Just typical Washington. Number two, the 84-year-old mother of today's show star Savannah Guthrie still missing. Situation is bleak, but there may be a ransom note and there may be a suspect. Is any of it real? And number three, there is a conservative tidal wave crashing today over Latin and South America. If you haven't noticed it, you need to. A massive shift away from those failed socialist experiments towards strong Trump-style right-leaning leaders who put their people first, drain the swamp, and build walls against chaos. It's like the spirit of MAGA has hopped the border and ignited a revolution down south. Argentina, El Salvador, Chile, Costa Rica, Honduras, just a few to name. These nations are waking up, folks, and they're choosing freedom over freebies, security over socialism. Argentina among the first. Remember when that country was a basket case under socialism? You thought our inflation was bad? Theirs was at 211%. Poverty was sky high. Folks were scavenging for scraps in the trash can. Then along came Javier Milei, the chainsaw-wielding libertarian firebrand, a guy who channels Trump's no-nonsense vibe, elected in 2023. And by 2026, he's turned it around bigly. It all started with Doge-style leadership. Here he is.
Ministerio de Turismo y Deporte, afuera. Ministerio de Cultura, afuera. Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera. Aunque te resistas. Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación, afuera. Ministerio de Trabajo, Empleo y Seguridad Social, afuera. Ministerio de Educación, adoctrinamiento, afuera.
Anyhow, you get the point. So here's what's happening. If you're listening and you're not seeing the video, he's at a whiteboard, and these are government agencies. Afuera, afuera, I think is what he's saying. They're gone. Eliminating them. Inflation not great there, but it has fallen from 300% at the high end to 30%. Poverty has dropped from 57% to 27%. And the economy in Argentina is finally growing again. He slashed government ministries in half, as you just heard, fired tens of thousands of people that eliminated bureaucratic dead weight and pushed through 13,500 reforms to unleash the free market again in Argentina. Midterms in 2025, landslide for Milei, gaining over 40% of the vote and doubling his congressional seats. Why? Because he understands the truth about government. This was his speech at the World Economic Forum last year. Here he is.
Do not surrender to the advance of the state. The state is not the solution. The state is the problem itself. You are the true protagonists of this story. And rest assured that as from today, Argentina is your staunch, unconditional ally. Thank you very much, and long live freedom. Damn it.
Long live freedom, damn it. The state is the problem. Sounds like Ronald Reagan, doesn't it? The government is the problem. Now hop over to El Salvador. Nayib Bukele, another Trump-esque powerhouse. This guy's a security wizard. Back in 2019, El Salvador was the murder capital of the entire world. Gangs like MS-13 running the streets, extorting everyone from street vendors to CEOs. Homicides at 103 per 100,000. It was pure hell. Bukele comes in, cracks down with his iron fist. Mega prisons, mass arrests, zero tolerance. By 2026, get this, homicides 1.6 per 100,000. 1.6, down from 103. It's remarkable. El Salvador is safer than Canada and parts of the United States. Folks can walk the streets at night. Tourism's booming with Bitcoin Beach and international events like Miss Universe. Sure, the left whines about authoritarianism, but Bukele's approval rating over 90%. He's been reelected in a landslide, and Salvadorans are finally living without fear. That's what happens when you prioritize law and order over hug-a-thug policies, which is the opposite of what the left-wing human rights organizations want, of course. And Bukele has exposed that scam for what it is. Here he is.
Pero y la mujer violada y asesinada por esas tres personas, ninguna organización de derechos humanos llegó y dijo, miren, ustedes deben de dejar de violar, deben de dejar de matar, nosotros vamos a intervenir o vamos a gastar nuestros miles de millones de dólares que nos dan para funcionar, para tratar de evitar que esto pase. No, mientras eso está pasando, las organizaciones de derechos humanos callan. Ahí no dicen nada.
Now, I apologize for the Spanish, but it's important to understand Bukele and others, Malay, have become our allies. He's right about law and order. He's right about protecting his country. More leaders need to realize this. And frankly, they are. Chile headed the same way. The South American country just elected far-right Jose Antonio Cast in 25. He's promising to revive the economy, beef up security, ditch the leftist nonsense that tanked the place. Costa Rica, same story. This week, they voted in their most right-wing president ever, Laura Fernandez Delgado, who promised to work hand-in-hand with our DEA and wants to build a massive prison just like El Salvador's CICOT to get the worst of the worst off the streets. Add in Ecuador's Daniel Noboa, Bolivia's Rodriguez Paz, Honduras, the list goes on. 8 to 9 right-leaning governments are now dominating the region, eroding those progressive pipe dreams and communism. Thank God. But while Latin America is coming to its senses, we still got leftist holdouts right here in the United States sabotaging our security. Much like El Salvador's Bukele is used to, he tweeted out this: if you don't impeach the corrupt judges, you cannot fix the country. They will form a cartel, a judicial dictatorship, and block all reforms protecting the systemic corruption that put them in their seats. Take this Biden-appointed judge, Anna Reyes. She just blocked President Trump's move to cancel temporary protected status for over 350,000 Haitian migrants. Trump's trying to secure our borders, end this TPS giveaway that's been letting folks stay indefinitely, but no. The judge accuses him of hostility to non-white immigrants and slaps a stay on it, of course. Haitian migrants were offered temporary protected status all the way back in 2010. Temporary. It was supposed to last 18 months, but 16 years later, it's still in effect, and this judge trying to make it stay that way. Termination was finally set for February of 26, but now it's paused, pending another lawsuit, undermining our sovereignty, folks. These deep state relics are clinging to open border insanity while the rest of the hemisphere wakes up. It's proof America's leftists are the last dinosaurs refusing to evolve. There are going to be setbacks, we've seen as much, but the progress today is undeniable. It's good news. The Western Hemisphere is becoming the hemisphere of freedom and actual progress. More on this as we continue. Good morning. Nice to see you today. It's the Steve Gruber Show, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. I'll be right back. All of this change in the Western Hemisphere we're discussing ties into President Trump reviving the Monroe Doctrine, making the Western Hemisphere great again. No more foreign meddling from China or Russia or Iran or Cuba. Trump stepping up to lead. Look at Venezuela. He freed that nation from the tyrant Nicolas Maduro with a bold January 3rd, 2026 strike, capturing Maduro and his wife on narco charges, hauling them to New York City for justice. And now interim President Delcy Rodriguez is in charge, but Trump's running the show, make no mistake, lifting sanctions, privatizing oil, securing 50 million barrels for America and Venezuela, revenues flowing to benefit both countries, and that's a smart deal. And now Cuba's next. Cuba is next. Listen.
It's a failed nation now, and they're not getting any money from Venezuela, and they're not getting any money from anywhere. It's a failed nation. Mexico is going to cease sending them oil. So I'd like to take care of the people that are here from Cuba. You know, we have many people that came from Cuba that were thrown out of Cuba or that fled Cuba. They came over on rafts. They went through shark-infested waters. I don't know how they did it. And it was many years ago. Many would like to go back. Many would like to at least visit their relatives. And I think we're at a pretty close point. We are dealing with the Cuban leaders right now.
And how are they doing that? Well, Trump is squeezing their oil lifeline with tariffs on suppliers like Mexico now, forcing them to the table. He says we're talking to Cuba's top brass and a deal is coming, ending their socialist nightmare, just like Venezuela. This is what 65 years of communism actually looks like. It's pretty bleak. It's why so many Latin and South Americans are coming to their sense, while Trump's making the hemisphere safer, stronger, without endless U.S. handouts. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum says Trump is still putting America first, no matter what he does. Here's the secretary.
With President Trump, you know, whatever deal that he strikes is going to be good for the American people. And this is just another example of President Trump understanding that energy dominance leads to peace abroad. It leads to prosperity at home. And energy dominance allows energy diplomacy, the ability to take a country like Cuba that was in cahoots with Venezuela, with their corrupt government, Cuba providing security forces to Venezuela, providing other assistance to that, and then in trade, getting Venezuelan oil sanctioned with President Trump now enforcing sanctions. Unlike prior administrations, the Biden administration had sanctions on Iran, Russia, others, and then we just turned we turned all these countries into China's discount gas station, and then these countries kept on funding wars and fueling terrorism. With President Trump, when he puts sanctions on, it means something, and then that creates negotiating leverage, and good things happen for America.
That's right. It'll be good for us. It'll be good for the rest of the world, too, if they're being honest with themselves. You know who else knows it and realizes it? Bill Maher. He gets it right sometimes. Here he is.
Every one of them.
If Venezuela causes Cuba to fall, if he somehow gets Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran all to be not these horrible places they were, he should get a Nobel Peace Prize.
He should. You're absolutely right, Bill. Here's the beauty of it. When it comes to our southern neighbors, these countries taking responsibility for their own security and well-being is a win for America. No more flood of illegals at our border because places like El Salvador are safe havens now. Stronger economies mean better trade partners. Less drug cartels funneling poison to the north. Trump's doctrine empowers them to stand tall, self-reliant, prosperous, MAGA style, if you will. Contrast that with Canada under Mark Carney. Talk about socialist self-destruction. This guy's the new PM, cozying up to China with a January 2026 visit, sealing trade deals while hiking defense spending and pushing austerity. At Davos, he's ranting about a rupture in the world order, calling on middle powers to stand against Trump and bloviating and blaming everyone from Trump to conservatives in his own government for his country's economic slump. What a toad. Here he is.
The biggest risk we have to affordability, the biggest risk we have to this economy is Donald Trump. So first and foremost, we've got to get that right. Second,
Mr. Speaker, one of the impacts, according to TD Bank, on food prices is the fall in the Canadian dollar caused by the obstructionism of the members opposite before this government came in place. What this government is giving Canadians is certainty.
Yeah, okay. Good luck fixing your country when you're spending all of your time blame shifting and blathering about nonsense. This is a not-so-thinly veiled socialist shift, more government control, moralizing on climate while ignoring real threats. Carney's a neoliberal wolf in green clothing. But as China reset, an anti-U.S. posturing screamed left-wing delusion. Canada's economy is stalling. They're heading for the same cliff Latin America just climbed off from. Folks, the message is clear. Trump's vision is winning hearts and minds and nations. Latin America is rising. Cuba's on the brink. Venezuela's liberated. And while Canada's Carney flounders, it's time to make the whole hemisphere great again. And he's doing that. There you have it. There's the monologue. Did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity, and cyber criminals are targeting it with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing? House alarms, doorbell cameras, deadbolts. They don't work against these thieves. They're not after your stuff. They're after the equity you've built in your home after paying your mortgage all these years. If your title is not being monitored, scammers can transfer the title into the home into their name using a few documents down at the county. Then they take loans against your money. Or they could even sell behind your back. And the worst part is you don't even find out until there's a collection notice in your mailbox. By then, however, the damage has been done. The best way to protect your equity is triple lock protection from my friends at Home Title Lock. Triple lock protection, 24/7 monitoring, alerts of any kind, and God forbid if the worst happens, restoration services at no out-of-pocket cost to you. You can check on your home's title today and make sure you're not already a victim. Use the promo code Gruber at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to you to any changes, and if the fraud should happen, they'll spend $1 million to fix it, not out of your pocket. Go to HometitleLock.com now. Use the promo code Gruber, HometitleLock.com. Promo code Gruber. Remember to support the great folks that support these platforms like this one. I'll be right back. Following the story that's in all the headlines right now, that's the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Donald Trump came out and said it's a terrible thing. He's supporting the family, hoping that they find somebody. And this despite the fact that Nancy Guthrie has put up many hateful messages on social media wishing that all MAGA people be arrested, and how deluded and dumb MAGA supporters are. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what she said. Looks forward to seeing the entire Trump family in jail and so on and so forth. Well, besides all that, we pray for her anyway and her safe return, because that's who we are. We don't wish ill on an 84-year-old grandmother to be dragged from her home at all hours of the night. About 2 in the morning, apparently, is when it happened. There may be a suspect, too. Could be her son-in-law. That coming forward this morning. But here's a little something. TMZ may have gotten a ransom note. Listen to this from yesterday.
So we got something in our email that looks like it's written like a ransom note for Savannah Guthrie's mother.
Specific requests
and they're very
for certain amounts of money,
very specific.
Bitcoin.
And also they say at the bottom there are certain things they're saying about what she was wearing and damage to the house.
That they're clearly saying to verify that
it's us.
We know what we're talking about here.
So we've contacted the Sheriff's Department,
all right, Harvey,
and
that's
we
enough.
want to get them this letter
All right, so they weren't the only ones. At least one other television station got a similar note that pointed out, here's a specific amount of money. We want it delivered in Bitcoin. Apparently, they verified it was a legitimate Bitcoin address. My question would be, why on earth would you want Bitcoin at this point? It's collapsing in value, but hey, whatever. Maybe you're not too smart. Anyhow, some attention is now being given to Annie Guthrie, Savannah's sister, and her husband, specifically Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law, as a possible suspect, and just possible person of interest. You like that better? We always called them suspects when I was a young journalist. Now it's person of interest. Well, whatever it is, it seems the investigation may be moving forward. There, you're up to date on that. I've got a lot more to cover here today. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Nice to see you today. I'll be right back. All right, back to it now. I heard on the radio yesterday, I guess, that there are mortgage rates out there now well below 5%. First time we've heard that since Joe Biden was in the White House and everything went haywire, right? That's good news. Can you afford a house? Can young people afford a house? That's been a big part of the conversation in Washington for the president and his administration. Well, Ed Brady joins me now. He's the president and CEO of the Home Builders Institute. Ed, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning, Steve. Thank you.
So how are housing starts? How is building in America? How is home ownership going for new houses anyway?
Well, it's a little slower today. As you mentioned, opening up here, the interest rates have been high over the last 12 months, 24 months. Now, I say that relative. High for me was 11.5%, 12% when I first bought a home. But compared to the 2.5%, 3% interest rates that we've had during the COVID era, they're still a little high, certainly for first-time home buyers. And so affordability is the critical issue here. It's not the demand. Young people want to buy houses. It's just the affordability issue has kept them out of the home ownership.
Yeah, one of those problems from where I sit clearly, having the skilled trades to get it done: HVAC, plumbing, electrical, carpenters, finish carpenters, roofers. They're in big demand because apparently everybody went to college to become coders or something, and now AI has quashed those dreams. But AI doesn't replace a carpenter or an electrician or a plumber now, do they?
No, exactly. And you're right. I mean, everybody was kind of socially forced into four-year universities. And, I got to ask, how did that work out? 60% didn't graduate. They still have college debt. They don't have a degree to market themselves. And so, yes, over the last 30 years, we have not pushed or not informed or introduced young people to the trades. Historically, the trades have been an honored profession, and we're pushing to move that forward in a progressive way, that it is a great career path to become a carpenter, electrician, plumber, HVAC tech, as you said, painter, drywaller. And we're at HBI, the Home Builders Institute, training Americans for American jobs. We don't export these jobs. We keep Americans here. And, it's hard to find a plumber at 2 a.m, and certainly AI is not going to fix your plumbing leak ever, but certainly not at 2 a.m. And so this is a really good career path.
And let me be really clear about something here, Ed. Let me be clear about something here. If the toilet's clogged and overflowing at 2 a.m, Mom's not happy. Mom, not impressed. And if you can't fix it, you're on the phone with a plumber who can fix it, who's getting that premium cash to come to the house at 2 a.m. and fix the toilet, right? I mean, it's real money. It really matters, doesn't it?
That's absolutely right. And you will be hard pressed to find a plumber to show up at 2 a.m.
Well, and here's the other thing. These are scalable businesses. If you're a plumber, you can hang out your shingle. Then you have a plumber working for you, then 2, and then 10. You can build a business today. Roofing companies, carpenter companies. Try to find a handyman these days. I dare you, folks. I do. You just want a few things done. That's one of the toughest things to find, Ed. Oh, I just need a couple of windows fixed. I just need a little something done. Good luck. And stand in line, right?
Yeah, and we're both, smiling and joking about this, but this is
serious.
We're at a critical stage in our country. 250 to 350,000 open jobs in the trades, and I started as a carpenter at 14. I learned under a master carpenter, journeyman carpenter, and I've been able to use that skill throughout my life. But I also took that foundational skill, and became a superintendent and a construction manager, and then ultimately a builder. And so this industry, this opportunity provides entrepreneurship to own your own business. And that's something that we have to sell. When you go to work at McDonald's, it takes $400,000, maybe more now today, to start a franchise. A pickup truck and some tools, and you're a contractor. And so I think we have to promote that opportunity and create a career path for the young people in our country.
And that's what you do, right? The Home Builders Institute, you build academies. You have plumbers, electricians, roofers, drywallers, framers. I'm just reading the list of the things that you offer people. And you've got locations in Orlando, Florida, New Orleans, Houston, Phoenix, Sacramento, Charlotte, North Carolina, even in Puerto Rico. You've got places all over to give people the opportunity to get into a position that AI is never going to take their job. They're always going to work. If you're a plumber, electrician, you're an HVAC, you're always going to work because of the shortage that you just pointed out. You get into it now, even if you change careers and you're 40 years old and you can learn to do these things, which you can, you've got a career for the next 25 years, right?
And it moves with you. I mean, you can learn it in Chicago, but you use it in Tampa. And so, yes, we're opening up these opportunities. We're pre-apprenticeship. So in many cases, we're introducing this career path to people, whether it be displaced workers, somebody that's upskilling, or somebody in high school. We're also trying to diversify this industry, quite frankly. Women in construction. I mean, this is a job for women today. Which wasn't promoted 30 years ago. It's a job for second chance. It's a job for those that are looking to work hard, to put in the time, to learn the skill, and then, as you said, open your own business someday.
Yeah, I don't care who runs the wires as long as the light switch works, right? I mean, what do I care? If a lady comes in and does it, good for her. I'm paying the bill because I'm not an electrician and I'm not a plumber. All right, so HBI. How long does it take to get through school there? You say it's pre-apprentice, so you go through the school, you learn the basics, and then you go on and become an apprentice somewhere or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah, we have anywhere from 9-week courses to 1-year courses. And so it depends on how much time you have. Many of our students are trying to support themselves during this education. And so we accelerate that program so that we can get them on the job. This industry, call it an apprenticeship, call it on-the-job training, whatever the case may be, we put a lot of our students into apprenticeships. That's a 4-year process. Many of our students go into the residential construction industry that are not involved in apprenticeships. They're on the job training. It's like playing the piano. You do a three-way switch in electrical. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And so it's critical to have on the job training. And 2-3 years down the road, as you said, you've really learned how to do this.
Well, you become certifiable. I mean, I know here in Michigan you have to be certified, right? In pretty much everything you just said there. But if you're on the job training, and I know people in HVAC, for example, here locally where I am, they're hiring people with no skill at all, no skills at all, and training them on the job to make them part of their team going forward. And that's a remarkable thing. Real quickly, how do people find you? You've got 7 campuses. How do people find you?
Yeah, well, we have 7 campuses, but we're in 430 high schools. Go to hbi.org, hbi.org. That will give you a map of where we're located and what type of programs you can enroll in. Ours is tuition free. We're a grace of philanthropic and some contributions, and so it doesn't cost you a dime, costs you some time and effort, and
very nice. And
you're able to get into our programs.
Really appreciate you being here, Ed. You're doing the right thing, and I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for promoting us.
Absolutely. HBI.org. You know somebody wants to work with their hands? There it is, HBI.org. All right, back to it now. I just watched when I sat down this morning. Chris Cuomo, you know him, used to be on CNN, does his own thing now. I think he's on News Nation maybe. He was on with Patrick Bet-David, big podcast, and says, I've got to admit it, I take ivermectin every day. Here's one of the guys who was the loudest voices making fun of people like me who took ivermectin during the pandemic, right? Still have it in my medicine cabinet because it's safe and effective. So even those that were the loudest, vicious critics, I guess the truth will set you free. Joining me now, Peter Galuli, the CEO of the wellness company. I bet that puts a smile on his face today. Peter, good morning.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
He was one of the loudest, like I said, most vicious voices. If you took ivermectin, it was a horse dewormer. You're doing nothing smart. Ivermectin, the reason they didn't like it is it's cheap. It's not owned by anybody. Millions of doses go out every day. It's effective for a whole host of things, and he takes it as a contraceptive toward disease, right?
How the tables have turned, Steve.
Yeah.
He said on CNN that anyone promoting it should be shamed, and now he's taking a regular dose to help deal with his own struggles with long COVID. He's been using it to help with his ongoing inflammation that he reports, as well as brain fog.
Well, it sounds to me like vax injury that he's using it for, which is also applicable, right? Go ahead.
Potatoes, right?
Right.
And here we are with Cuomo doing probably the greatest 180 in history. Look, at the end of the day, I'm glad at least he has the courage to stand up and admit it, right? You still don't see Don Lemon and some of these other CNN hosts brave enough to go out and say that they were fed wrong information and were promoting the wrong narrative for years. But look, Chris Cuomo is now seeing the light. I really hope he gets better, and I hope that the ivermectin that he's taking really helps with the condition, because vaccine injuries here are no joke. Many people are totally disabled from these things, and
they certainly are, and that's a problem. Now, ivermectin, it won the Nobel Prize for medicine, but it's useful in so many different places. I want to point out February is National Cancer Prevention Awareness Month. Cancer, obviously, is something that touches. We've all been touched by it somewhere, right? Almost everyone has either had cancer, knows somebody who does, family, loved one. Do you think more research should be done exploring the lost treatment options? And one of those is ivermectin, right?
We should find it offensive, Steve, that we haven't made better progress in treating cancer by the year of 2026.
Yeah.
The field inching forward. It's painfully slow. And what's worse, in my opinion, Steve, is that we still treat cancer as just something that happens to you, right? I mean, 1/3 of Americans will contract cancer in their lifetime. Think about that. 1/3 of Americans. And we're not really doing anything to actually help prevent that. Never mind treat it, right? At the end of the day, there are ways that you can help treat cancer. And I think to your point about ivermectin, there are a ton of drugs out there. Ivermectin is sort of the star of them, that have shown tremendous promise in helping treat cancer and are low cost. They don't require these expensive rounds of chemo. I think we really need to do more research and really focus on ways that we can actually repurpose a lot of these old drug discoveries that we have for their anti-cancer properties.
Sure, and let's just be honest, Peter. Treating cancer is wildly expensive. Expensive drugs, big profits for big pharma and the hospitals and the healthcare industry. Ivermectin's cheap. Mebendazol's cheap. When you put these two things together, they work very well and should be studied more. They also get rid of parasites. You also have, other things that are beneficial for these drugs, but they don't make big pharma big cash, so it gets ignored. And I don't mean to be that cynical, but it feels that way to me from where I'm sitting.
You're exactly right, Steve. In America, there are only two classes of drugs that doctors actually can receive commissions on for prescribing to their patients. And those two classes of drugs are, Steve, one, vaccines, and two, chemotherapy drugs. Imagine that. And I hope really the audience now looks at both of those two classes of drugs a little bit differently. Vaccines and chemotherapy, doctors are actually compensated for the amount of those drugs that they prescribe their patients. So, of course, that's going to be the first option when you walk into many doctor offices, is going to be to get you on one of those two things. And it's holding us back.
Yeah. Now, the good news here today is, like always, you and the doctors, you, Peter McCullough, your team, Dr. Victory, all of them, are always researching and digging deeper and studying and trying to find things that maybe haven't been done before. You have a brand new product called Shield. And it was in relation to Dr. Victory's own journey with cancer. Tell us about Shield and how it works.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So, Dr. Victory has a really inspiring story about how she beat her own battle with cancer. And that was really the inspiration for this product. Look, we all have cancer cells in our body every day, Steve. You, me, everybody. It's our immune system's job to clean up those garbage cells and flush them. And one of the real reasons why cancer can grow and spread is because you have a compromised immune system that isn't able to clean up work. And that goes kind of double if you have certain indications with metabolism. So Dr. Victory, when she was in her own cancer battle, was looking at all these different compounds, most of which were natural, that could really help give the immune system all the tools it needs to help clean up these cancer cells. And when you're on something like chemo, the thing that really suffers is your immune system, right?
Sure.
And that's often why cancer has recurrence, comes back.
Yeah.
So Dr. Victory designed Shield. It's a two-part product. It's a soft gel with a hot cocoa mix that contains over 12 different nutraceuticals between the two. And it's meant for daily use to keep your immune system at tip-top shape so that you actually can do the hard work of fighting off dirty cells.
And I want the audience to go find this right now, twc.health/Gruber, twc.health/Gruber. Go find this brand new product, Shield. You'll find all sorts of great products at the Wellness Company. twc.health/Gruber. Find Shield. Peter, I got to run. Really appreciate it. Great new product, as always.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, the Clintons are going to be answering some questions. We're going to talk more about this. I mean, pull up bite 3, would you, Anthony? You've got to hear this. This is Melinda Gates. The new Epstein file dumps, you know, the people on the left, they got their hair on fire. Oh, it's Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump. Well, Melinda Gates says, no, it was her husband. There's an email in there, a couple of them, back and forth between Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Gates. Bill Gates talking about getting an STD from Russian hookers and begging Epstein to help him to get medication so he could sneak it to his then wife, Melinda Gates, who later divorced him, of course. Listen to what she says when she's asked about it. Here she is.
The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, you know, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. That's the truth, right? And
you know, here's the truth.
It's kind of like,
The truth is they keep trying to find some way, any way, to tie Donald Trump to all of this. But yet it's all these leftists like Bill Gates, globalist Bill Gates, out with Russian hookers with sexually transmitted diseases, trying to sneak a cure to his wife. Grotesque. Good God. By the way, one of the greatest places to watch this program, right there. See that QR code? Click right on it. It'll take you right to YouTube. By the way, the brand new podcast, Forgotten America, coming your way early next week. The first episodes are going to drop. You can find them on YouTube as well. We'll tell you more about that as we get closer. This is the Steve Gruber Show. 2 more hours. Don't miss any of them. I'll be right back.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, let's get to it. Another big hour here of the program. So much appreciate you being here as we fight for you from the foxhole of freedom every single day. Putting America first, talking about things that others don't seem to get to, but we do. We dig deeper and give you better insight and analysis so you're well educated when you go out about the population out there. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, another day, another massive fraud scheme perpetrated by illegal aliens exposed. This time $100 million, and illegals from Venezuela are the ones behind it. How much more fraud will we find? I don't know. Number two, the search for Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother continuing, and the time for her really running out. It's a grim situation. However, there may be a ransom note. There may be a suspect, her son-in-law. More on that coming up. And number three, every modern and civilized country on earth supports the SAVE Act. They do. Because that would require all voters to be American citizens and provide photo ID and prove it to vote. It's not even controversial. And every country on earth, every country just about, requires voter ID. It's a simple thing. It's something that is supported by the vast majority of Republicans, Democrats, independents, Americans support this, right? It's also supported by every ethnic and demographic group. The only ones opposed to it, apparently, are Democrats. They're the ones opposed to voter ID, which, to me, is very telling. Should be to you as well. Here's something about the SAVE Act. From CNN polling, even CNN admits everyone supports it. Listen to this.
Take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote. So something of a non.
There you have it. By the way, the overall number from CNN and their polling, 83% of Americans support voter ID, and yet almost every Democrat, to a man, to a woman, in the Congress, in the Senate, stand opposed to voter ID. Now, why do we need it? Why do we need the SAVE Act? Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama explains clearly.
And then, of course, President Trump wants same-day voting, mail ballots, get rid of these voting machines. There's a half a dozen people, whether it's the House or Senate, Larry, that are up here as we speak, that did not get elected. It was all bogus because we've seen the evidence, and if we don't straighten that out, you're going to see a lot more of it this fall, and it's just going to get worse and worse with the American people saying, listen, we got all y'all up there, and you don't do anything to straighten it out. We want closed borders, and we want fair elections. Those two things they are demanding, and as Republicans, we had better to listen to them and do that, or we're going to lose next fall.
A lot of states, don't even have an ID picture. And by the way, I vote in the state of Connecticut. You don't need an ID. You don't need a picture. You could show them a credit card, Senator. Anybody can get a credit card, any kind of credit card. You could show them a debit card, and that's sufficient. Many states allow driver's licenses. Well, anybody can get a driver's license. Some states are allowing illegals to get driver's licenses for commercial purposes. So the SAVE Act would eliminate that stuff. It's very important, but you got to make the case. I don't hear many people making the case. And
No, I don't either. But I am. I'm making the case. Why would anybody, they say, well, having voter ID makes it harder to vote, as if having a driver's license makes it harder to drive. Give me a break. We need the SAVE Act. We need voter ID like every civilized country on earth. They don't just let people show up, oh, here's my credit card. Really? Oh, and the motor voter laws, that was a Trojan horse, wasn't it? Just everybody gets registered and then anybody can vote. Here's my ID, here's my voter ID, whatever. But this idea that it makes it harder to vote because you don't have an ID. And then the Democrats say, well, you know, it's going to be hard on black people. It's going to be hard on black people. They have a hard time. It's going to disenfranchise black voters. Really? What do you think black people think about being told they're not smart enough to get an ID? And it's unfair to them when it comes to voting. What do you think they think about it? Well, don't ask me. Let's ask them. Here they are.
Now I'm here in East Harlem to ask black people their thoughts on what you just heard. Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID?
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so like, we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. Like, that's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with, ID.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy camera?
I know, right?
That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those are legit IDs.
Legit idea. What is this, candid camera? No, it's Democrats thinking you are too dumb to get an ID, please. Congressman Greg Steube of Florida says something that I agree with. Now it's time to end the filibuster, get it removed, to open up the path for the SAFE Act, because otherwise it's never going to get passed. And Democrats will end the filibuster to make no voter ID permanent in this country. Bizarre but true. Listen to what he says.
If you look at my Twitter feed, I've been calling on Thune since the first government shutdown to do away with the filibuster. It is incredible to me that the Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the White House. The American people have given us an edict to go and do conservative policy. And you have Thune that is forced to go and talk to Chuck Schumer to get anything passed because of the filibuster in place. That's not what the American people want. Chuck Schumer shouldn't decide what's happening in American politics right now because the Democrats are in the minority in the Senate. So it's very frustrating for conservatives. It's frustrating for people like myself. So, something as simple as the SAVE Act that simply says that you have to be a citizen of our country to vote in our elections, and you have to show identification in order to do that, can't even get a vote in the Senate because of the filibuster rule.
Remarkable. It's remarkable. Voter ID. As if driving a car is more difficult to get a driver's license. Please. Do you know any adult that doesn't have an ID? Anybody? No. I don't know a single adult in America. Black, white, Hispanic, doesn't matter. It's foolishness. If your dog is family, and let's be honest, they are, you've got to feed them right. Feed them like they're family. Great Lakes Pet Food, high-quality American-made dog food using premium pork, chicken, and turkey. It's Michigan-made, so it's an American product. It's trusted. It's the same dog food we use here for the entire herd. Do yourself a favor and your dog. Check out GreatLakesPetFood.com. GreatLakesPetFood.com. You'll be really pleased. We've been feeding this to our dogs for, I think, 5 or 6 years now. Man, they're healthy and spry because they get real food. Remember, real food's not just important for you. It's important for your dog. GreatLakesPetFood.com. Check it out. Tell them I sent you on over. They'll be glad that I did. I'll take a break and be back. This is The Steve Gruber Show. You know, I've been seeing this recently, migration internally in the United States. Blue states are losing, red states are winning. And why do you think that is? I mean, there are 5 states now. I just read this list last night. Florida, North Dakota, Georgia, and others moving to eliminate property tax altogether. Another incentive. All the states eliminating property tax are, of course, Republican-controlled states. Grover Norquist joining me now. Grover, good to have you on the program. This is another big tax reform. You are Americans for tax reform. So looking at property tax, this has become a big debate over the last couple of years, and a good one to have, isn't it?
It is, and there are a lot of different states taking different approaches to it. The one that seems to work, there are 14 different efforts to cap local spending, because if the spending is the problem, how they steal the money is another issue. But if you can cap the spending and keep it from growing faster than inflation and the population of the city, town, or county, then you've got something worth having. And the other one is to cap how much any particular building, house, is taxed, and make sure that that doesn't jump up with inflation. There's no reason, not inflation, but the value of housing. And I think we're making some real progress there. I think it's an overstatement to say abolish it, because what would you put it onto? It's such a big piece that wouldn't be equally painful. But get it down, lower, stop growing, and so that your income grows faster than your property taxes.
You know, I did a couple of pieces on this, Grover. Abigail Spanberger ran on affordability in the state of Virginia. They've introduced 50 new tax ideas. A tax on walking your dog, grooming your dog, fixing your house, fixing your car. It just goes on and on and on. Meanwhile, they've got these Green New Deal initiatives that are pushing their electric prices to the moon. Unbelievable. There's no affordability there. They keep raising taxes. They're going to run all the people out of New York City. They're going to run all the people out of Virginia. And where do they go? They go to Tennessee and Texas and Florida, right? I mean, that's what's happening.
Yeah, it is. And I was just in West Virginia with the governor, who wants to speed up. They're moving to zero. They're on automatic pilot to zero. They said, no, we should cut taxes another 10% now, because we should get going even faster than our previous plan. And they look over at Virginia, and Virginia wants to raise all the taxes that West Virginia is reducing. Virginia, Spanberger, is going to try and get rid of the right to work law. She lied about it all the way through, but she actually voted to get rid of right to work when she was a congressman. So expect a war on workers and on consumers in Virginia, whereas West Virginia is out there going, we just passed right to work. We want people to start jobs and businesses and careers and families here. It's a big border between Virginia and West Virginia.
Yeah, you know, there's this big migration. And we know that the 2020 election was gamed because Florida got shorted a congressional seat, so did Texas, probably worse than that. New York held on to one by like 800 people. It was a game that they played on the 2020 census with the Biden administration. But this migration is happening, and it will impact 12 to 15 congressional seats by the time we get to 2030. But by then, look, that's a long way down the line from where I'm sitting right now, because the midterms are coming, the presidential election is coming. Between here and there, it really needs to be corrected, but that's an argument for a different day. But these states are gaining traction, and it's clear that it's driven by taxes. I mean, Mamdani wants to raise tax on the rich, of course. It's always the rich, whatever that means, and they keep lowering the bar, of course, as to what rich is. It's a failing proposition. Do they not realize that all these programs are failing? And we are 150, the real number here, Grover, that people don't realize. We're $150 trillion in debt in this country when you consider unfunded liabilities like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. You hear about 40 trillion in debt. It's 4 times that much, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. The pension liability for states, for cities, for towns is just overwhelming. The great news is that if we can maintain a Republican House, Senate, or presidency over the next 5 years, you just need one to block taking over the Supreme Court and putting 37 14-year-olds on it in order to control the Supreme Court forever. They may go to 15 to try and make it look real. But if we can do that, than simply with the fact that people are moving from blue states to red states. 10, 11 electoral college votes will move to the Republican states, 10, 11 congressional seats will. That'll make the House much more difficult for the Democrats to win. It'll make the presidency much more difficult for Democrats to win. And go 15 years out, and you're talking not a gap of 20, but 40 being added to the victories you can win simply by governing well. The Democrats are looking down into this pit and seeing their power, as long as they're going to be left-wing crazy people.
Well, hold on. 40 seats by when? How long?
15 years from now, the next redistricting.
Right, okay. If you couple that with a Supreme Court decision that we'll hear in June, that places like Alabama, Louisiana, and other states can't use racial gerrymandering, that'll move 12 more seats right now to the Republican column, roughly, right?
Yes, and that's why the Democrats are in such a panic. That's why riots are an option for them. It worked before with George Floyd. Anything to distract from their bad economic policies. And frankly, the good news is because the tax cut was made permanent, not only, and it was passed retroactive to the beginning of last year, a lot of people over withheld. So, because they kept paying, they didn't realize that no tax on tips meant all year. They thought maybe it started in July because that's when the tax bill passed. No, all year. So they're going to have a lot of money coming back. People on Social Security, people with children. The tax rates for everybody were kept low.
Well, it's good for some people. The people in Virginia will just transfer that big refund over to the state of Virginia and for their electric bills. Grover, we got to keep watching this. I always appreciate your input. Thank you very much. I wish we had a little more time this morning. That's all I got, sir. Thank you.
Take care, Steve.
Always appreciate it. Man, he is so smart and so on top of it. 40 seats in 15 years, add another dozen to that. Republicans will control, but can we get there? That's the question. Here's a story that's not quite at the top of the page, but interesting to me. Jill Biden's ex-husband, Bill Stevenson, charged with murder after the death of his second wife. In late December, Newcastle County Police said they responded to a domestic dispute, Oak Hill neighborhood near the town of Ellesmere in Delaware. 64-year-old Linda Stevenson found unresponsive and pronounced dead. No charges filed at the time of the death. Stevenson met Biden on the beach in Ocean City, New Jersey, 1969. They're married the following year. They divorced in 1975. And about a decade later, he married Linda, who he's now accused of murdering. He's the former owner of the Stone Balloon venue Newark, hosted rock acts like Springsteen, George Thorogood, Cheap Trick, a whole bunch of others. But a grand jury returned a true indictment against Stevenson on the 2nd of February. That was Monday. Police took him into custody shortly thereafter. One count of felony first-degree murder, arraigned and placed in the Howard Young Correctional Facility after failing to post a $500,000 bail. Strange story. That's all I'll say. We're going to keep an eye on it. Jill Biden's ex-husband arrested for killing his second wife. Strange story, but there you have it. There you have it. All right. If you deal with knee pain, joint pain, or stiffness, especially when you're driving or sitting for long stretches, listen to this. You can't take a medical treatment bed with you on the road, but you can keep the QE red light therapy wand right in your glove box. It's handheld, uses red and infrared light combined with proprietary quantum energy technology to target pain right where it hurts. No pills, no appointments, just simple targeted relief you can use anytime. It's portable, easy to use. In just minutes a day, it can make you feel better. Go to QEstrong.com. Use that promo code Gruber, and you'll get a discount. QEstrong.com, and you can get the QE wand for under $100. QEstrong.com. Promo code Gruber. You'll save plenty of money. Get that red light therapy wand for under $100. Pretty remarkable. I'll be right back. You know, the left would have you believe that ICE and CBP and the enforcement of removing illegals from this country is somehow wildly unpopular. And there's some polling internally from some Republican members of Congress I've spoken to. They say it's not doing very well in their internal polling. But I just saw a poll here this past week. 3/4 of the Hispanic respondents supported removing illegals from this country. We also know that Hispanic voters moved in big numbers to Republicans and President Trump in 2024. Is that still true? Daniel Garza is the president of the Libra Initiative, which means liberty, I believe. It's the largest center-right Hispanic advocacy group. Former councilman from the state of Washington joining me now. Daniel, nice to see you.
It's a pleasure. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning to you. All right, so what is the state of the Hispanic voter in the United States 2026?
Well, it turns out they're the swingiest of swing voters. They are going through a shift right now. Was it 16.5 million voted in 2024? Of those, 20% voted for the first time. So we're very young, we're new, and I think right now there's an opportunity for both parties to try to win them over. But unfortunately, right now, it just seems like sometimes the extremes get in the way. But look, if you're a strong candidate, there's no question that you can persuade Latinos to vote your way if you have the right policies that are going to strengthen our economy and strengthen America and strengthen our borders.
All over the Western Hemisphere, this was my monologue from today.
Yep.
All over the Western Hemisphere, Argentina, Costa Rica, Honduras, Chile, El Salvador, one country after another rejecting socialism, rejecting communism, rejecting crime in the streets, rejecting the drug cartels. Why would it be any different here than it is all over Central and South America?
Well, look, America, obviously is exceptional because of its founding charters. Our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution is unique in the sense that, it offers people individuality, it gives them private property rights. It's a free market, free trade. Basically, it says you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the pursuit of happiness was basically our founding fathers' way of saying, we don't know what does it for you, you figure it out. And when you let people innovate and create and generate wealth, get out of the way. And that's what government did in America. And my God, we became the most prosperous, the strongest nation in the history of the world. Nobody can touch us with respect to our economy. It is a beacon to the world. It's a city on a shining hill is what it is. And so that's what draws a lot of people to America. It's freedoms to rise, basically. And no matter, who you are, as my senator from Texas says, America is that country where anybody with nothing can achieve anything. And I believe that strongly. And so many immigrants have come to America.
Especially if you open a daycare. Don't even need kids. Oh, I'm sorry. I digress.
No. And we need safeguards for things like that. As Americans, we need to make sure that immigration complements, what we're trying to achieve here. And it's not, something that is a liability to us, but an asset. And unfortunately, there are bad actors in this game, and we need to weed them out and have a strong vetting system that can allow for that.
Agreed. So why is it you think that 3/4 of those people asked that are Hispanic voters say they support what the immigration enforcement is doing right now, while others, white liberal women most notably, oppose such a thing? Why the disparity?
Well, look, there's no question that Biden's border chaos that he caused here distance a lot of South Texans away. Every county from Cameron to Hidalgo, Starr County, Zapata County, all moved to the right dramatically. We even voted for a Republican congresswoman here in the 15th district for the first time since Teddy Roosevelt. A Republican was voted in here in South Texas. So it had a lot also to do with this. What we're seeing now is this broad immigration fraud that's been exposed in California and Washington State and now Minnesota, of course, famously. This Chinese anchor baby scandal, this breakneck speed of Islamification of Europe has many Americans weary of immigration that are resistant to the status quo. So we're creating this two-tiered society of citizens and non-citizens, where the non-citizens are exploited as well. So that is not a desirable condition. That we can do it better. We need to include safeguards. We need an immigration reform system that fixes the status quo desperately.
No question about it, Daniel. What is I think it's probably the same as it is for most people on most election cycles. The number one driver is going to be financial issues. Where is inflation? Where are the job opportunities? What is the pay rate? Can I make my bills? Can I send my kids to a decent school? Can I walk down my street without fear of a gang coming in and attacking us or robbing us or killing us. I mean, safety, and that's what they did Bukele in El Salvador took it from a rate of 103 homicides per 100,000 to 1.2. El Salvador is safer today than Canada. This resonates with people, does it not?
100%. Look, you're right. That is the priority of citizen voting Latinos. Very different from non-citizen Latinos who have different priorities right now. And so those citizen voting Latinos, if you focus on what they want, it is the economy. It is jobs. It is economic opportunity for their children as well, and to allow their children to rise through a quality education. Those are the priorities, right? And so I think if the Republican Party focuses on those, and right now the narrative on the economy is starting to improve dramatically. Our GDP, our labor the numbers are also wage rates, of course, are increasing. All this is going to help, the cause. And there's also, Latinos are spooked really by radicalism too. Like, this defunding ICE. That's dumb. This obstructing law enforcement, in their lawful duties is dumb. I think this one, party rule that could happen, it spooks Latinos as well, because we know they want to eliminate the filibuster, that they want to stack, the Supreme Court, they want to impose employee mandates. And
they also think that people of color. They also think people of color are too dumb to get a driver's license, and if they do have one, asking them to show it to vote is too difficult, as if driving a car is more difficult with a driver's license. I mean, it is so laughable. The SAVE Act is incredibly important, isn't it, Daniel?
100%. Look, it is reductive and insulting, to minorities across the country to say that we are too stupid to
get a driver's license,
obtain a driver's license, an ID even, and maybe not even a driver's license. Look, if that was an issue, Steve, then help them get a driver's license. Don't undermine our electoral system by not requiring ID. This does a lot of damage, I think, to the trust that we have in our institutions. And it's almost like you're willing to play games with our electoral system just so you can retain power. And that should upset a lot of people.
Well, there it is. I think you nailed it, Daniel. President of the Libre Initiative. Daniel, you come back anytime. Enjoyed talking to you. I'd like to do it again.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Good stuff. Look, this is an easy issue. It really, really is. It's an easy issue, and most people understand it. I'm going to take a break. This part of the program brought to you by good friends from PuroVet. It is the system to get veterans to the front of the line. Puro Clean's Veterans Initiative, PuroVet, investing in our nation's heroes by helping them own and operate a thriving local business. You can find out more at purovet.com. purovet.com, or you can call 855-PuroVet. That's right, put yourself to the front of the line, get a franchise, build yourself a business in America, and pursue the American dream. purovet.com. I'll be right back. Well, my next guest just told me in the break that Canada and France have set up diplomatic missions in Greenland, as if that matters. Look, does anybody believe that NATO could protect America? If it all hit the fan, we had to deal with Russia or China, what would NATO really be able to do? They only have one credible military that I'm aware of, France, and that's marginal. Germany isn't worth anything. The UK, they're all years behind. They haven't paid their bills. Meanwhile, the United Nations apparently going broke. Let me bring on Ambassador Carla Sands, the chair and foreign policy at America First Policy Institute. Carla, nice to see you this morning. Let's start with the United Nations. I mentioned this in the break. I just saw them talking about if we don't write them a check for $2.5 billion, they're going broke. Once again, they sit there, they insult America. They take shots at America. They undermine America. And then, oh, by the way, it's like you go to dinner with a group of people, and they all sit there and insult you and throw food at you and then say, hey, can you get the bill? I mean, right, really? It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is. It is an abomination. Great to be with you, Steve, and all your viewers. I've got to say, it couldn't happen to a better group of scoundrels. And they're primarily anti-Semitic. I mean, they censure Israel, but not Iran, not China with the Uyghur oppression and concentration camps. It's really terrible. And the chief, I would say, influencer in the UN is the Chinese Communist Party. They coerce and bribe other countries to put their candidates in the leadership positions. The U.S. struggles to get our candidates or even Democratic candidates in these leadership positions in the UN. And therefore, a lot of the language underlining UN documents and ideas that go global are Xi Jinping thought and Chinese Communist Party dogma. So it's endemic. Right. When I went to UNGA last year, the American woman was using Chinese propaganda in her speech. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The United Nations was created to do basically one thing: stop people from dying in wars and genocide. Have they ever stopped a war, the United Nations? Have they ever stopped a genocide? The powder blue helmets and, peacekeeping forces. The United Nations has been an abject failure from the 1940s until today. They've cost billions and billions of dollars to us, the United States, and the United States taxpayer. And we've gotten talk about no return on investment. There it is. I don't care if we pay the bill. I don't care if the United Nations goes away. I think that Donald Trump's Council of Peace that he put together here recently has more impact potentially to stop such slaughter on the planet. The United Nations is a failure, Carla, and has never succeeded in its base mission, ever. Why do we continue to pay for such a wasteful, useless organization?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Steve. And in fact, President Trump's this peace group that he's put together is under the umbrella of the UN. So he's reimagining the UN. Every UN member is going to have to tighten their belt. They're actually they're ending leases in some cases and selling buildings because they can't afford to keep them. Good. That's fine. There's so much overreach. And I have never heard them go after the plight of the Christians that are being slaughtered in Nigeria, for example. And Lebanon. It's all hating America and Israel primarily. And if you look at who's on the Human Rights Council, there's no country that supports human rights. I think maybe one or two.
Yeah, no, it's a joke. Let's go back to NATO now. Again, a place that insults America while taking American money and American military equipment year after year, decade after decade, and then telling us how things are going to be. We have protected these people since the end of World War II. Canada is protected. Greenland is protected. The European continent is protected because of us, not because of them. They've shirked their responsibilities. They have not paid their bills. They've not upgraded their militaries appropriately, and they want to throw stones at us. Look, this idea that, these world alliances are shattering, good. It's time to rethink what we're doing here. Stop sending the American taxpayer the bill. Do your part. Do what you agreed to. How am I wrong?
Well, I have to differ with you a little bit, Steve. I actually think that NATO is important, that it's actually the greatest security alliance in the history of the world.
It is, first of all, if they do their part.
Yes, and that's the rub, Steve. So our allies, as you just said, have not been doing their part. They've been really relying on the American taxpayers to provide their security guarantees. And if you are going to be a member of a club, you know you have to pay the club dues. And this is like a club. And they haven't been paying their dues for decades. So now President Trump has, through, I would say, pressure, gotten them to commit to going to 5%. But I promise you, Steve, a lot of these countries, they're going to reduce their contributions as soon as this Russia-Ukraine war ends. They will not feel the pressure anymore. And I think that President Trump's trade, tariffs, and negotiations have really been wrapping up not just economic security, but national security as well for all of us. So these allies are rich countries, but they prefer to put their money into really lavish pension benefits, free healthcare, free college, free childcare that American citizens, we don't have and enjoy because we've been paying so much for defense. So President Trump is righting that ship, but there's still a long way to go. But if you look at Greenland, with Denmark being one of the founding members of NATO, they have no prayer of defending Greenland.
Ever.
They don't have the economic or military capabilities.
And neither does
ever.
anybody
That's
else,
right.
Carla. Let's be clear about this. There might be one
We
credible
do in
military.
China, Steve. Yeah, we do in China.
Well,
maybe Russia.
Yeah, here's the fact. Denmark surrendered to the Nazis in about 5 minutes. The only credible army in Europe is France. The UK isn't worth anything. Germany's demilitarizing and deindustrializing. They're worthless. Canada's proven to be worthless. That's my concern. And I do believe, we only got 30 seconds here, but I believe that Donald Trump will have operational control to the extent that he needs it to protect this country before he leaves office.
I agree.
20 seconds, last word to you.
Yeah, countries like Canada, they have been great allies with the U.S. They're our big neighbor to the north. This is what I'll say about countries like Canada. They need to up their military capabilities and their contributions. They need to have a real military. We need all of our nation state friends to actually be able to defend their own territories and be economically successful. So their policies matter too, Steve.
Absolutely. Ambassador Carla Sands, always a great conversation. Thank you for being here.
Great to be with you.
Nice to see you. There you have it. When we come back, we'll check in on sports with Brock. But these are all important issues. You need to be up on them, need to be educated. That's why you're here. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, let's check in on sports now with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. With the NBA trade deadline being Thursday afternoon, there were a couple of notable trades yesterday. The Los Angeles Clippers sent former league MVP James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers for All-Star guard Darius Garland and a second-round draft pick. Also, the Memphis Grizzlies sent forward Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Utah Jazz as part of an 8-player trade that also involved a handful of first-round draft picks. As far as on the court, there were 10 games in the NBA. Winners included Detroit, New York, the LA Lakers, and Oklahoma City. In men's college basketball, third-ranked Connecticut and fourth-ranked Duke both won, as did undefeated and 23rd-ranked Miami of Ohio. Just 2 undefeated teams left in men's college basketball, the aforementioned Redhawks and number 1 Arizona. And in the NHL, there were 7 games. Winners included Tampa Bay, Columbus, Toronto, and Anaheim. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you for that. Well, as we continue to dig into the Epstein files, the Democrats are disappointed. Well, Donald Trump's name's in there thousands of times. Yeah, but they don't have pictures of him like the former Prince Andrew on all fours above an unidentified female. They don't have emails, the likes of which Bill Gates sent to Jeffrey Epstein begging for medication for a venereal disease, for a sexually transmitted disease, so that he could give it to his wife and she wouldn't know that he had an STD and got it from Russian prostitutes. Apparently, Bill Gates, another pillar of the left, being firebombed by the truth. You keep finding, and apparently Bill Clinton is now going to actually make comments about Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Clinton, a long relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And yet those on the left would have you believe somehow it's Donald Trump that's in this tangled mess. Show me the receipts. And if Donald Trump's in there, we'll be honest about it here. But until I see that, and it's not just hyperbole from the left, then I dismiss it. It's irrelevant. It's noise. Bill Gates, not noise. The former Prince Andrew, not noise. We've got the receipts, and more to come, by the way. Lots to talk about still today. We've got another hour of the program straight ahead. Don't miss any of it. This is The Steve Gruber Show.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, welcome back to another big hour here of the program, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. We do it every day here. Putting America first, talking about America, protecting America, looking out for our heritage and our families. Greatly appreciate you being here. A lot to cover this hour. Three big things this hour. Number one, Michigan lawmakers are thinking about taxing kids' smartphones. What do you think of that? Taxing the smartphone. Number two, far-left Senator Alyssa Slotkin debunked again on the myth about ICE training. She's not telling the truth. I know you're shocked. And number three, while a lot of people are looking at different things, Donald Trump continues to look at the economy and how to make things better for Americans. And a lot of people on the left complain about the tariffs. Well, the tariffs are this and that, and they're terrible. But the tariffs have resulted in, let's see, John Deere, Apple, Taiwan, all these big companies and nations bringing their manufacturing on American soil. General Motors taking their Buick SUV out of production in China and bringing it here. John Deere bringing their first excavator production here. And the list just goes on, right? Yesterday, it was announced a huge trade deal with India, which will bring American tariffs to 0%. And India has made a deal to stop buying Russian oil as well. They're going to buy oil from the United States. Listen to this.
As you all saw yesterday, the president struck another great trade deal with India. He spoke with Prime Minister Modi directly. They share a very good relationship. India committed to not only no longer purchasing Russian oil, but buying oil from the United States, also perhaps from Venezuela too, which we know will now have a direct benefit on the United States and the American people. And in addition to that, Prime Minister Modi committed to $500 billion of investments into the United States, including for transportation, for energy, and for agricultural products as well. So this is another great trade deal thanks to President Trump.
Another great trade deal. I mean, India is a big trade partner with the United States. It's important. And not buying Russian oil means that they're not going to be funding the Russian war effort or anything else that Vladimir Putin does. Look, Vladimir Putin's a bad guy. I don't think there's any really good guys on either side of the Russian-Ukraine war in many regards. But here we are. 4 years on, still fighting, still killing, people still dying. So this India trade deal, very good news for the United States. Here's more on that trade deal. Listen.
And now we have the deal. We'll finish papering it, but we know the specifics. We know the details. It's a very exciting opportunity. On the one hand, we'll continue to maintain some level of tariff against India, 18%, because we have this giant trade deficit with them. But they've also agreed to reduce their tariffs for us on a variety of agricultural products, manufactured goods, chemicals, medical devices, et cetera. It's an exciting opportunity for both countries.
And reduce their tariffs on us, by the way, as I mentioned, to 0. This is a big deal for American farmers, for American companies in general. Smart move by the president to put America first. It seems to be a theme, doesn't it? Shifting gears now to put American voters first, he has named Tulsi Gabbard, the president has, to make sure that elections in this country are secure, honest, and fraud-free. Here's part of that announcement. Listen.
Tulsi Gabbard has been tapped by the President of the United States to oversee the sanctity and the security of our American elections. She's working directly alongside the FBI Director, Kash Patel. This is a coordinated whole-of-government effort to ensure that our elections, again, are fair and transparent moving forward. I don't see anything wrong with the President tasking a cabinet member to pursue an issue that most people want to see solved. Maybe you don't, but I know many Americans do want to make sure our elections are protected, and that's what Tulsi Gabbard is focused on doing.
Maybe fraud is the word of the year so far. From Minnesota to elections, fraud in America, costing you literally not billions of dollars anymore, trillions of dollars over time. Think about how much money has been squandered through dirty deals, backroom deals, enriching politicians here and abroad. Corporations and NGOs and nonprofits all cashing in on you. You go to work every day while they take the profits and take it right off the top, take the cream right off the top and put it in their own pocket. How outrageous. And fraud, like I said, the word of the year. Harriet Hageman nails the massive fraud. She's the congresswoman from Wyoming, good friend of this program, running to be the senator from the state of Wyoming. Here's Harriet Hageman. Listen.
The gentlelady from Washington made a comment about people getting filthy rich. Yeah, that's exactly right. People are getting filthy rich. A chosen few in Minnesota, Maine, Ohio, Washington, Oregon, and California, absolutely defrauding the taxpayer from one end to the other, stealing millions and billions of dollars from the taxpayers. We have folks on the other side. They attack our legitimate businesses while defending rampant fraud. You know, the question that all you have to look at is, you ask the question, if 80% of the Somali community in Minnesota is on welfare, why do they need the hundreds of businesses of childcare and for transporting people to various appointments? If they are on welfare, why in the world are they capable of sending millions of dollars every week back to Somalia?
Yeah, pretty good question. If they're all on welfare, where's all that money coming from? If they're all on welfare, they don't have jobs. Why do they need so much daycare? If they're on welfare, how do they pull this off every day? I think, again, the word is fraud. Here's another bit of fraud from U.S. Senator Alyssa Slotkin, the far-left Democrat from Michigan, promoting a theory about the training of U.S. immigration and ICE enforcement agents that's already been debunked. But look, they don't care about the truth. They don't. She doesn't. Slotkin posting on X that training has been reduced for ICE agents. ICE used to have 5 months of training, but they've shortened now to 47 days. The number 47 was picked because President Trump is the 47th president, Slotkin claimed in another bogus video. The Washington Examiner went to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia in August, reported acting ICE Director Todd Lyons shared the training had recently been shortened to 6 days a week for 8 weeks. That, of course, 48 days of training. 8 weeks of training. The idea that it had been shortened to 47 days, just another bit of mythology put forth to you by those on the left. Who knows why? Yeah, do they sit up at night going, what can we do today? What bizarre thing can we say that'll sound, just really get people juiced up? Come on. They're there for 8 weeks, 6 days a week for 8 weeks. I don't know how long a police academy is, so I can't compare. But the idea that they're untrained or unprepared seems fairly far-fetched after 2 months of training. Maybe they need more. Okay. You want them to have more training? I'm okay with that. Let them do their jobs once they're trained. It wouldn't matter if they trained for 8 years. These people say they're not trained well. It wouldn't matter. Facts don't matter too often. All right, we're going to take a deep cleansing breath and a polar plunge with Ron Rademacher right after the break. All right, welcome back to it as we dive right off the deep end into the deep winter snow. Lake Erie has been frozen solid for weeks now. It's way above average. In fact, all the Great Lakes are above average now for ice cover. 55% the total ice cover, according to NOAA. The long-term average they claim is 52%, but their graphs show about 42%. Look, I don't know. I don't think that the government would ever lie to me, but I'm just throwing it out there. Somebody else who would never lie, my next guest, Ron Rademacher. He'll tell you a story, but he'll never, ever lie. Ron, welcome back.
Steve, as you know, I would never let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Exactly true.
I learned that from Al Gore. I missed a chance to congratulate him last week because I was having, eye surgery. But for a guy who has been consistently wrong, he never let the facts get in the way of a good story.
He sticks to his guns. He sticks to his guns no matter how wrong he is. Yeah, no ice, no winter. How much winter have you had this year, Ron?
I'll tell you, Steve, if you're going to come up to this part of the state, or you're going to go to Lake Erie, or you're going to go to the polar plunge, you see this little thing right here I got on? That baby is a muskox.
Attaboy.
You need this item right here. It's great indoors.
Isn't it the greatest?
Shirt jacket outdoors. You don't have to worry about breaking wind, finding a windbreak.
Yeah. So, I tell people that muskox is the greatest flannel shirt ever, but it really is. People are like, they're just awesome. Everybody wears them here. Everybody. Not because we want to look cool, although we do, but they're just the best shirt. Detroit company, gomuskox.com, promo code Gruber, save $15. There it is, Ron.
Yeah, I've never had the problem of wanting to look cool because it just came naturally. But now, I don't wear my Filsons anymore. I've got a couple of, Filson is a great flannel shirt, lifetime guarantee. I never wear them anymore because I reach in the closet. Oh, you got to go with the muskox. Too soft, too buttery, too warm. Exactly. Enough of the commercial. You didn't know I was going to bring this up, but I've got this thing on today because I'm heading out to shovel snow as soon as we're done again.
You mean it snowed again? I'm shocked. It snows every day, it seems.
Oh, it's just a great winter, and so they got snowdrift coming up in Atlanta, Lewiston area this weekend. Now I know Anthony's going. If you've never been, all you gotta have to enjoy it, other than your muskox, is plenty of lubrication. Because they're outdoors, and these guys are racing on snowy, icy roads without studs of any kind on the tires. That's why it's called snow drift.
Right. How many cars they're racing? Cars, trucks? What are they running?
I believe pretty much anything you can put a motor on.
Bathtubs.
Bathtubs.
Right.
It's not quite like the outhouse, race up in Trenary, but. I'm sure that Anthony will bring us back some great videos. That's going to be a good time, especially if you're nice and warm. Another place to be warm, another favorite place of ours is NEMA. This weekend they have their pond hockey tournament. And I can guarantee you that there will be adult beverages on hand at that event.
Yeah, I am sure. I love the NEMA Inn. I do. I love that place. You know that.
They're having a great winter. Just before I left there, we finally got the snowmobile trail extended from US 2 down to the inn, and I talked to Charlie this year, and he said, "Yeah, they're coming down. They're using the trail, so it comes the parking lot is right there next to the inn." So
I got a question about NEMA. Great fishing right there, and they were upgrading it. The DNR was fishing access. Right? Is there ice fishing there? Do they do it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of ice fishing there. Well, just down the road is Gladstone, which is one of the great walleye fisheries on the planet.
Right.
And in Gladstone, there'll be an entire city. I bet if you Google it, you can see there'll be hundreds of trucks and shanties out there on that part of Bay de Noc.
All right, I'm going to go look. All right, what else you got?
Well, we got the polar plunge up there in Hancock as part of Heike Pava. The Heike Lunta festivals are going on up in Negaunee. So they're celebrating snow, basically. And this year they got plenty of snow to celebrate. Another one we don't want to forget about is the couple of them we don't want to forget about is the sled dog races are in Baldwin this weekend. So if you can't get to the Upper Peninsula, you can just go to Baldwin. And just north of there is Club 37, one of the great places to eat in all of northern Michigan. So They have sled dog races in Baldwin, and they have a kids section this year. So if the kids want to go up there and mush, you can pretty much go, and you can even race whatever dog you want to bring. You don't have to have specially trained dogs. They got the run with the dog what brung you section, and
dude, you got a poodle, dude. What are you thinking? Okay.
You got a poodle. You got one of the little Chihuahua jobs. They're having the I-500 snowmobile race up in Sault Ste. Marie. But where I want to go, I've been to the I-500. It's fantastic. They're doing 100 miles an hour around the icy, snowy oval. But what I really want to do is I want to go to Kalamazoo this weekend if I can. They have the Air Zoo is having open cockpit weekend, which means you can climb into a F-6 Hellcat. You can get into the cockpit. I got to pick this up because my eyes aren't what they once were. You can get inside of a P-39 Air Cobra.
Yeah, but the real one, the real prize here. There it is.
You can't climb in that, but
SR-71 Blackbird. What a remarkable piece of aircraft history and accomplishment.
Incredible engineering put together with millions of parts by the lowest bidder, by the way. But you can't get in the cockpit of that one, but to just stand next to it and gawk. Fantastic. That's going to be a great. They got an A4 Skyhawk down there. I bet they got some tank killer A10s down there too, which is another incredible aircraft. So that is a great time. If you don't want to go up north, you want to be inside, head down to the Air Zoo.
There you go. All right, there you have it. MichiganBackroads.com, MichiganBackroads.com, MichiganBackroads.com. Don't forget to get your muskox at GoMuskox.com. Promo code is Gruber, so you can be as cool as Ron and just as warm and stylish. There it is, my friends. Ron Rademacher, you got snow to shovel, so I won't keep you any longer. Get to work.
That's it, brother. Talk to you later.
There you go. Ron Rademacher, everybody. He missed one. Tawas City, Perchville, USA. More fishing. Ice fishing. I can't actually drink that much, but, I like the idea of it. I'll be back. All right, we talk about so many serious things. Sometimes you just got to take a moment and have a Ron Rademacher in and relax for a minute, right, and talk about what's going on in the world. But here's this guy became an instant meme, Jarrell Miller. All right, he's a professional boxer, I guess. He looks like he's spent more time in the cheeseburger shack than he has in the gym. Watch this. He's getting pounded. He's getting pounded so bad that when he gets hit, it knocks his hair clean off. He's got a toupee on there. The hair just comes ripping off. So I listened to him afterwards, and he says, I'm in the corner with my trainer. He says, my trainer never stutters. He says, my trainer stutters like 3 times and looks at me funny. And he goes, what's up? And he realizes his toupee has come off, and he throws it into the crowd. Now, he claims that he lost his hair at his mom's house because he put something in his hair that he thought was shampoo, turned out to be bleach or something, and smoked his hair. So he went to his guy and said, hey, I need hair. And so they glued this thing on top of his noggin, and, well, he got hit so hard. I think he should spend more time at the gym, less time getting his hair cut, and maybe he'd have done better because he got pummeled. Here's his hair. Is that about right, Anthony? Something like that?
That's about right.
Just
Eventually, I think
flapping.
it just fell off. I'd hate to do the walk of shame to go pick up my hair.
Well, then he threw it into the crowd. Here's the question: if some dude's hair flies into the crowd, are you picking it up or are you kicking it away from you?
I guess it depends. Do you think that kind of thing would have auction value?
No. You might be able to, maybe wash the floor with it. I don't know. Never seen anything quite like it, but I loved it. I won't kid you. That's good stuff. We don't have the video. There's another video floating around that I thought was fabulous. This 16-year-old girl's working at a pizza joint, and 3 other teenagers come in with the intent of robbing her, of ripping the place off. They didn't realize that the 16-year-old was an MMA fighter. Oh, she just pulverized them. And then to add insult to injury, all 3 of the people that tried to rob her and got their butts kicked all got charged with felonies. One of them has a broken eye socket from her encounter with the MMA fighter. You know, you got to know who you're messing with, right? All right. Anyhow, good stuff. I'll take a break and be right back. I have not spent a tremendous amount of time on the Epstein files, but it's back in the headlines now. As another several million documents have been released. Much to the embarrassment of Bill Gates, one of the wealthiest people in the world, who apparently had a sexually transmitted disease. He was sending emails back and forth to Jeffrey Epstein, begging for medication so he could slip it to his wife, his now ex-wife. Melinda Gates, who was just mortified by it all. She left her marriage as a result, left the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as a result because of his tawdry behavior. The former, and I call him former Prince Andrew, also new pictures of him on all fours above a woman who's not identified, of course. Joining me is Lieutenant Colonel, retired, Pete Shin. He's the Associate Director of EpsteinJustice.com. Lieutenant, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. Although, if you're going to refer to me by my former rank, I'd prefer to be referred to as Colonel.
All right, Colonel. Colonel, sorry about that. Light Colonel, you're right. I appreciate that. Thank
Telephone
you for the
Colonel.
all right, so the Epstein files. Bill Gates was not a good boy. Prince Andrew has been totally excommunicated from the royal family, so I guess power and position didn't shield everyone, but a lot of redactions here. What do you make of what you've seen?
Well, what I make of it, Steve, is that, and I guess I would ask you this question, do any of these documents or the release of these documents, does this look like justice for the victims to you?
Well,
because it doesn't look like justice for the victims to me.
Well, here's what I would say to that. Here's what I would say to that. A whole host of those victims came out a number of months ago and said they were going to name names, and they haven't. And I would say, why not? I mean, here it is. Why wouldn't they? I don't know who the victims are or who the players were, except for Epstein, Bill Gates, the former prince. I mean, there's certain people you know now, quite obviously. But why don't the victims say it was this guy, and this guy?
Well, Steve, the victims have said that. So at least some of the victims have said that. In fact, Virginia Giuffre, perhaps the most famous of Epstein's victims, has just published posthumously a book in which she names multiple names. So it's not like names haven't been named, Steve, by victims. So I guess I would take issue with the premise of your statement. That being said, there's plenty of names in the files. You're right, but the goal of Epstein Justice and EpsteinJustice.com has never been the release of files. The goal of Epstein Justice and EpsteinJustice.com is for have Congress to do their constitutionally mandated duty of holding the executive branch in check and force the executive branch to not just release this information, but to have a full and thorough investigation. You know, it's so funny that the Deputy Attorney General says there's nothing to investigate in these 3 million documents that they released and reportedly almost 3 million more documents that they're not willing to release. So if there's nothing to investigate in these 6 million documents, why not just release it all? And then let somebody else, like the branch of the government in the Constitution that is indeed committed to making the rest of the government function. I mean, it's Congress's job to make the executive branch disclose this information. And I will tell you that as a former liaison from the executive branch to Congress, I can just tell you that the executive branch's role is to keep secrets. That's what its job is.
And which administration were you working?
I worked for the first Trump administration.
There you have it. Right, so, because I was going to bring that up because one of the executives is apparently former executives is now agreeing to answer questions, that being Bill Clinton. What do you make of that?
I think that's great. I think that's the beginning of people who ought to be questioned. But the real issue here is he's being pulled in front of the House Oversight Committee. And I think that that's great work that they're doing. However, the House Oversight Committee is, by its nature, because who currently controls Congress, it's inherently a partisan body. And what Epstein Justice is calling for is a nonpartisan body, or at worst, a bipartisan body, and something that's truly bipartisan. Not like the January 6th Commission, which was bipartisan in name only. No, we need something that is truly bipartisan and bicameral that would investigate not just the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein, but all of the rich and powerful people that he associated with that knew what he was up to.
It's pretty clear, Colonel, that they have been redacted, a number of these people. Now, the left has been saying, Donald Trump's name appears thousands of times. Maybe it does. I don't sit and read the Epstein files. You do. You go through them. But as far as I can tell, he's never been connected to any of the wrongdoing here of Jeffrey Epstein. But it seems to me, based on what you're saying, and maybe this is true, that people that he knows, powerful people, world leaders, business leaders, maybe it's their names that are redacted. Now, I'm hypothesizing here, but somebody got their name redacted. And if Bill Gates can't get his name redacted, who can? Because somebody powerful has. That's the way it appears. Am I wrong?
No, I don't believe you are. The reality is that, Steve, we can't know what we don't know. And so, Democrats have said, well, let us in there and see what the files are that aren't redacted. And that's fine as far as it goes. But I know how these things go, okay? You take a member of Congress to a SCIF, okay? You sit them in the SCIF and you give them 3 million documents. Take your time, you say. Well, how many of those 3 million documents do you think a member of Congress is going to get through on their own? By the way, no staffers are allowed typically in those SCIFs. And so I just don't believe that there's any realistic way for Congress under the current construct to get the information that they require to conduct a real investigation.
What do you think?
And from where I sit,
you
what do
spend
I
your
think
time
in the
doing
redactions?
Who do you think's in there? I mean, what does the evidence tell you who's in there that's being protected?
The evidence suggests, Steve, that Jeffrey Epstein was running a blackmail operation. That's what the evidence suggests. All of his palatial homes across several continents were wired for surveillance. The FBI seized all of those materials, and those are among the materials that appear to be redacted. The surveillance files that Jeffrey Epstein himself captured. On behalf of whom? Himself?
No,
perhaps,
but
I don't think
not.
so, though.
Let me ask you one more thing. I don't have a lot. I want you to come back, and maybe you should join us on the podcast so we can dig deeper and spend an hour talking about this. But what is this new twist on Jeffrey Epstein's connection to Bitcoin that just everybody's talking about? What is that?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm not fully briefed on. Listen, it would take a lot for me to get through 3 million pages. Okay,
fair enough. Yeah.
So I'm not familiar with everything that's in this document release, but it wouldn't surprise me because Jeffrey Epstein was into a lot of weird stuff, just even beyond running a child sex trafficking network, which, of course, he was, in fact, the largest in American history.
Yeah, well, that we're aware of. Yeah, you wonder because this sex trafficking is a horrible plague on America. It really is. We can agree on that, Colonel, for sure. But I'd like you to come back because there's so much more to talk about here. And in 8 or 10 minutes, we just scratched the surface. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. I don't care who you are. If you were involved in this kind of tawdry, illicit, illegal, morally corrupt activity, I want to know about it. And if you're holding high office or in charge of a big global corporation, I want to know about it because I don't want to do business with you. And I want you held accountable. I don't care how much money you have. I agree with you, Colonel. You come back anytime. I wish we had more time today, but that's what we've got. But you come back anytime. We'll talk more about it.
Thanks very much, Steve. I look forward to that.
Greatly appreciate it. The victims are the ones that are forgotten here. He's right about that. And they've named some names, but when they came out of that press conference, I thought we were going to get a list of names. I thought we were going to get here's a laundry list of people. Why didn't we get that? Think about it. I'll be back. All right, here we go. Well, what are you laughing about over there?
What was that? Is that the general feeling for today?
Yeah. Here it is. PepsiCo, health food supplier to the world, is slashing prices on Doritos, Cheetos, and Tostitos, among other things. You know why? Because they're too expensive. And here's their quote. Customers trust us to bring them moments of joy. Moments of joy. And Anthony was just complaining that he doesn't want to pay $15 for a bag of air. And they've done this. What do they call this? Shrinkflation, right? Where you had this big bag of chips once, and now it's like
the bag
chips.
is still the same, but the
There's just
content
nothing in
is
it.
like a quarter.
Yeah.
Where before it was like a half or 3/4.
Now, in fairness,
It's amazing. You open it up and you're like, where are all the chips?
I couldn't tell you the last time I saw Doritos, Cheetos, or Tostitos in my house. We don't buy those things. But for people that do, look, it got expensive, right? And sometimes I like a good kettle chip. I'm not going to kid you. A good kettle potato chip, salt and pepper,
Kettle
love
chips are
them.
good.
What's
Barbecue's my favorite.
that? Yeah, exactly.
Well, we got this Yucca app a couple years ago now, and we just scan everything that we purchase. And when you begin to scan things like Doritos and Cheetos,
And they get a 0.
and then you realize.
And for anybody who
What's
doesn't
in
know,
them?
for the uninitiated, the Yucca app, Y-U-K-A, you just go through the grocery store with your phone and you scale the barcode, scan it, and it'll tell you how this product scores. And, I look at things like, well, Cheerios must be good. Wrong. They got like 25 out of 100. I mean, and oftentimes it's sodium. But it's sodium,
in which
calories.
case I can actually, so sometimes things grade low because they have high sodium.
Correct.
Which in some cases I'm like, I can live with that. That's not
Right.
that big of a deal. I don't think sodium is a huge deal.
Not for me. I live on it.
But sometimes in the process, sodium could be a little bit of a different. It's not like
I understand.
Our salt, Himalayan sea salt or Baja sea salt or something like that you're using. It's
Right.
Anyhow, but continue.
But what I was getting at is, in a day and age of Make America Healthy Again, PepsiCo is going to chop the price on their sugary drinks, their crunchy, salty stuff,
Right.
and keep people good and healthy.
Right.
But
yeah.
whatever. I get it. Look, it's expensive, and they want to bring people joy. And what they really said was, look, we raised the price too far, too fast. And it's not like PepsiCo or any of these other companies aren't making piles of money.
No, yeah.
So they've got to adjust their game plan, right? There it is.
Well, I think people are becoming a lot more aware of just how bad processed food is for you. I think there's a lot more knowledge, a lot more information through podcasts and things like that. It's kind of one thing. Great things about internet and podcasts and social media is that you can get some good information.
That's right. You can get good
although
stuff
I
and
think
bad.
sometimes you get overwhelmed with information. You're just stuck in I don't know what to do, and then nothing changes.
Then I look over, and Ivy's got a glazed over look on her face, and she's doom scrolling.
Me, no.
Doom scrolling, yeah. Look at this beautiful house. Look at this beautiful kitchen. Hey, easy, sunshine.
I don't know about
Anyhow.
that.
Yeah.
But I think that actually I can refer to my sister on this. She absolutely loves Coca-Cola. Okay.
Right.
And she generally would have 1 or 2 a day.
Yeah.
And it's like 45 grams of sugar. So then
Per.
times 2.
Yeah.
And I think that's a tremendous amount of sugar per day. Plus, if you're eating any other sugar throughout the day, so I'm like, it's probably best that you cut back.
But here's what we've been able to do, and this is the translation, which I think is good. Our kids look at labels now. Our kids our son will look at it and go, it's got 45 grams of sugar, and he'll set it aside. Say, I don't want that. Right. And nobody in our house drinks
It's
pop.
so funny. He did that this morning because we bought a bunch of new syrups because this is kind of the one thing that we did. We're not going to drink, Sarah's not going to drink Coke, but she's going to drink like club soda and then put like flavored syrups in.
Sure.
Which has a tremendous, comparatively, it's a lot less sugar. So, and he turns it around and he's like looking at it and he's like, what is all this stuff? This can't be better for you. I'm like, dude, compared to a Coca-Cola, yeah. I mean, you put a pump or 2 into a club soda, it's way better. And he's like, I don't know. I need to do the math on this. And it was really cute actually, because we actually have, engaging conversations about, hey, what choice is a better choice? What do you do? And I think that's just a great thing to do with your kids.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, there's Coke and stuff in our house, but they never get used. They're there for
Very
guests.
rarely,
They're there
yeah.
for guests because the boy will drink a Sprite on occasion if we're out.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the extent of it. I mean, I don't drink that stuff at all. I used to drink Diet Coke when we met here a number of years ago. I drink Diet Cokes here and there.
Yeah.
I have one every 6 months.
You mean
maybe.
you don't have a Diet Coke button, Steve?
I don't.
Like the president?
I don't have a Big Mac button. I don't have a Diet Coke button. And when was the last time you ate at a fast food joint like McDonald's? I don't.
Very,
I just don't.
rarely.
You know, on rare occasion we'll grab a breakfast sandwich there, but that's it. I mean,
Listen, sometimes, Big Macs are great.
I love them.
And, I like
the Whopper
might have
better.
one a year or twice a year. That's okay.
I like the Whopper. But who makes the best fast food burger? Honestly, Five Guys does a pretty nice job, but you have to mortgage the house to buy one.
Five Guys, I wouldn't consider that.
Five Guys is very good, but it's way too expensive.
Exactly. It's
Well,
like
what is it per burger? Like $6?
no, like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you want to get.
What'd you say, Anthony? Five Guys is not fast food?
Well, they don't really have drive-throughs, do they?
Well, that's true. I'll give you that.
I'd
So
say-
who makes the best burger?
I'd say as far as quality,
Yeah.
Wendy's.
All right. He's got a Wendy's, but I like the Whopper. Always have.
Oh, my gosh. Let's not promote fast food.
I did. I thought the Whopper was the best.
Arby's is underrated.
See, Arby's are hit and miss.
Arby's?
Yeah, they're hit and miss. Chick-fil-A, I like Chick-fil-A. I mean, they're fine,
No White Castle?
Oh yeah, White Castle.
White Castle's great. I've never had one sober. I mean, let's just be
my
honest about
goodness.
it.
Steak and Shake is pretty good, but
Oh.
they can be very slow.
Something interesting about Steak and Shake, they use beef tallow for all of their fries, like frying their fries now.
Correct.
And interesting also, they give their teammates, their team members, for their bonuses, they pay them in Bitcoin.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they must be giving them a lot more Bitcoin right now because it's in the toilet.
Yeah, it's like 74. I think I just saw it was
I'm
74.
not bitter. I'm not bitter or anything.
Hey,
anyhow.
maybe that means there's going to be a bounce back.
All right, let's
stay
go.
hopeful.
Let's go. Big Macs for lunch, everybody. That's the deal. Big Macs for lunch. Anyhow, Ivy, love you.
Love you.
It's a strange conversation we just had. Final thoughts after this.
You didn't even mention Chick-fil-A.
That's not burger.
Here's one last story I'm going to leave you with today from my good friends at Just the News. John Solomon doing great work as always. Chinese students with affiliations to the Chinese Communist Party, members, and military personnel have infiltrated United States universities. No surprise here. This is one of the things that I strongly disagree with President Trump on, and that is the continuation of having 600,000 or 700,000 Chinese nationals as students at American universities and colleges. A conservative nonprofit oversight group, the American Accountability Foundation, reported that it found nearly 24 Chinese academics working at elite U.S. schools and labs who, because of dual-use threat of their research, close ties to military research sector in China, and or clear ties to the Chinese Communist Party, should be expelled from the United States and never be readmitted. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, as they say. Look, the United States is under attack, whether it's an open border, the Chinese Communist Party, people inside this country, the Sharia law crowd, all of them. This country is under attack from all directions, and not to mention what Peter Schweitzer shared with us on this program earlier this week about the infiltration of Mexican nationals who believe that the portions of the United States that we purchased from Mexico in two big purchases, the Gadsden purchase and the purchase of places like Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, that it's all fraudulent, that it was stolen. No, we paid for the real estate, just like with the Louisiana purchase and other things that we've purchased along the way. The Virgin Islands we purchased from Denmark in 1917. I had to look back real quick on that. Look, we've purchased lots of things, but we are under attack every day here, and that's why we sit here every day steadfast and on focus to make sure that we put America first. Fight the good fight, keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is The Steve Gruber Show. And remember, only you can save America.